Welcome back to another edition of the Lawless Sports Podcast, Episode 7. I am your host, Casey Lawless, again joined by a very special guest, Jason Schulman.
Glad to be here, buddy.
Yes, sir. Alright, so we are going to waste zero time, and we are going to be delving right into NBA free agency for the 2019 NBA season. Man, this is...
It's a loaded class.
Bro, absolutely loaded across the board. We have 35 top free agents for you, and we're going to be discussing all of them. First things first, Kevin Durant, today on, June 26, 2019, has declined his $31.5 million player option. Jason, where's KD going?
Well, that was obviously to be expected. You know, he's going to get a long-term deal. As much as I want to see him go to the Nets with Kyrie, I've been fantasizing about that. I think the best option for him is just to stay in Golden State. I know it's the boring answer, but it's the best fit. They move the ball perfectly. I know him and Clay, with the injury, they won't be playing next year, but they both just need to sign a long-term deal with the Warriors and just take next year off. I mean, they might return for the playoffs, but I just can't see him going anywhere else.
I can't either, honestly. I have to agree with you. I mean, Kevin Durant has to stay a Golden State Warrior, and I have pretty specific reasons why. Here's why. Number one, this team is built for him. The way they move the ball is just astounding. The way that Steph Curry is able to get everybody involved, people stepping up, guys like Andre Iguodala, guys like just everybody who just steps up. It's just such a very team-friendly organization. Number two, he's not young anymore. I mean, he's 30. He's not 25. You know what I mean? Coming off, a couple of injuries in a row, and this is the biggest injury in his career. Mm-hmm. It does not make sense for him to go to a team like Brooklyn and try to carry the team on his back. In my opinion, it just doesn't make any logical sense for him. If I'm Kevin Durant, I want to win chips. I want to secure myself even more into the Hall of Fame, and I want to be up with those guys like MJ, LeBron, Kobe, Russell. I'm staying a Golden State Warrior. I'm winning more chips. I'm staying healthy. I'm not going to try to put a bigger load on my shoulders than I have to.
I think it comes down to his legacy. How does he feel? I mean, going to Golden State, he got a lot of criticism, and obviously with his comments, with the burner account.
Absolutely.
You can tell it affects him, and it should, because I think he's passed LeBron as the best player in the NBA. If I had to start a franchise, I had to win 1 year. If everyone was healthy, I would take him. And I think that him staying with the
bold.
Warriors...
That is bold, by the way.
Who would you take, by the way? Quickly. Giannis, LeBron?
I don't know how you go wrong with LeBron. Before his injury, he was averaging 28, 8, and 8, and that's a bad season for him. And he wasn't healthy all like his trainer even said he was not 100% the entire season. So if that is a 80% LeBron and he's putting up 28, 8, and 8 at this stage in his career, I don't know how you go anywhere
else. As a huge LeBron fan, I definitely see where you're coming from. It's just my personal opinion. I think he's just surpassed LeBron. But either way, I think it definitely comes down to his legacy. If he wants to prove that he can win wherever he goes and that he's the man without another MVP in his shadows and Steph Curry, I think he can go somewhere else. But with your points, it's hard to disagree. I think the Warriors are just the best team for him. And I think that's going to be where he ends up staying with a long-term deal. 4 or 5 year max, obviously. And if Clay was smart, I think he would go there as well if the Warriors are going to offer both, which I think they will.
Absolutely. All right, but none other than now we're talking about NBA Finals MVP, NBA champion Kawhi Leonard. Jason, where's he going?
I think it comes down to two teams. I think it comes down to the Raptors and the Clippers.
100%. I already knew where you were going. 100%.
Absolutely. I think... Now, as a Sixers fan, if we don't sign Butler and Tobias, I would love to see him come to the Sixers and be that third. I mean, he would be the best player on the team, but fit that wing role. But I think if I had to choose between the Clippers and the Raptors, if he could bring someone to LA with him, I think the Clippers, they were the 8th seed. They gave the Warriors a run for the money in the first round with 2 wins. I think he definitely fits into the Clippers. But he's so loved in Toronto. He just won them their first NBA championship in organization history. It's just I can't see him leaving, and I hate to say it because obviously we're huge Sixers fans, but he is the best player in the East, and I think he's going to stay there. Knowing that the Lakers are, they just got AD, I think the Raptors are the best place for him.
This is why I believe he's immediately going to go to the Los Angeles Clippers. The Los Angeles Clippers almost took the Warriors to 7 games as the 8th seed. They all stepped up. Everybody thought they were finished. You bring Kawhi Leonard to that team, I don't even think Clay needs to go at that point. If Clay decides to stay in Golden State and Kawhi goes to LA, I think that's a finals. I think that's I think he wins a chip next season with the Clippers. I really do.
You think they're the favorites, really?
I think they're the favorites. You have Kevin Durant, who's not playing next season, and Klay Thompson, who's not going to play to the playoffs. Maybe, if he comes back, they're thinking second round right now if the Warriors get out of the first round, which of course I think they will. But I think he immediately makes the Clippers the favorites next season if he goes to the Clippers, and I think that's why he should, and I think that's where he's going to get the most money.
Well, what's interesting to me is then the West, I think he feels more comfortable in the East. He's proven he can beat the teams in the East. I know the Sixers, if they run it back and retain Jimmy and Tobias, I think they'll be very competitive. So I think the Bucks are getting better because Giannis is just an absolute freak.
Absolutely.
But do you think it's interesting? Do you think he does like a 1 to 2 year bridge deal? He tries to win in the West because I think the West is just getting better. I think if KD decides to stay with Klay, I think that's competition. I think the Lakers will be competition. So I think it'll come down to what Kawhi really wants. If he values winning like the most, which I think he does, I think the Raptors are the best place because I think the East is the best place for him, staying in that conference. But if he signs a long-term deal with the Clippers, which he might do for the max, then he's gonna have to deal with some heavy competition for the next couple of years.
Absolutely, and I think Kawhi is definitely the most interesting prospect in this whole free agency class, especially because going into this season, everybody close to Kawhi clearly stated Kawhi wanted no part in staying in Toronto. Like he was just gonna play this season in Toronto and then immediately leave. And now the fact that it's actually a conversation, it's incredible.
It is amazing. I cannot believe the Raptors won the NBA championship. And he proved to be the best player in the NBA at this point. I mean, I know KD was hurt, but he proved he can do that. So
I think Kawhi, right now, at this moment, is undisputably the number one player in the NBA.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Right now, he is.
All right, another player who I'm in love. I mean, this dude, he's been an absolute stud since his rookie season, and but passion is questionable. Kyrie Irving. Does he stay or does he go?
I think there's no shot. If I could put a negative percentage on it, I would put a negative percentage on. He is not staying with the Celtics. Now that the rumors are coming out that they're interested in Kemba, they already have Terry Rozier, who came on First Take saying that if Kyrie stays, he's out because he wants to be a starter. I think it was an experiment, and I can't blame Kyrie. I was upset when he left LeBron, but because I think he thought his role was like he could be more than what he was. I don't think he could be the best part of a championship team, but all indications are he's going to the Nets, and that's where I think he's going to go. I think he's going to stay close to home. He grew up in Jersey. I think that's going to mean that the Nets are going to trade Russell, which I'm sure we'll get to. But other than that, I think the Nets are just the perfect place for him to lead a team, because if that's what he wants, then I think that's what he's going to do. I think another interesting option would be the Lakers to go pair back up with LeBron. But after what happened, after him saying he wants his own team, I just can't see him putting his reputation on the line like that, going back to LeBron.
Yeah, those are great points for real. I mean, if Kyrie and KD go to Brooklyn, the Brooklyn Nets have an incredibly deep roster, and a lot of people feel like they exploded out of nowhere, but they've really been building for like a really long time, with guys who you really never heard of, like Spencer Dinwiddie or Jarrett Allen.
Karis
LeVert. Just people who have just absolutely stepped up. But there's, again, I will repeat Jason's point. No shot that he stays in Boston.
We're in agreement on that.
No shot. If he stayed in Boston, dude, then I might as well have seen a pig fly. Like, there's no shot. There's no chance. But I think that Kyrie Irving, I think he'll be an LA Laker. I really do. I think that him and LeBron have, they've made do with each other, you know what I mean? Like, they've called a truce, if you will.
Right.
I think Kyrie, LeBron, AD, Kuzma, that is a nasty team to go against in the West for anybody.
Absolutely.
I don't think there's any competition. I mean, Golden State, without Klay, you're asking guys like Kevon Looney and, oh my God.
Like Livingston,
Rush, I think. Like
Brandon Rush.
Yeah, you're asking these guys to play valuable minutes. And I just don't know if the Warriors are really the team to be next season. I think if Kyrie goes to LA, I think the Lakers are the absolute team to beat.
Now, I really like that, and I think LA is the best fit for him, but the problem is right now, number one, they don't have enough cap space, so they're trying to make that by selling out the rest of the contracts. They only have like 4 players on the contract, but I think the problem with that is that's 4 players right there, but they're gonna have no depth. Who's gonna be the fifth? Like, they're gonna have to sign a 5th starter, the veterans minimum, and I just don't think they're gonna have enough depth. And if one of them gets injured, then now you're only down to 2 big stars. with no depth also. So I think the Lakers are the best fit if he's only to take a little bit of a pay cut, but I just see him going to the Nets.
Heard that, bro. I like it. But you know what? We have another guy. He's been underrated, but finally getting the recognition that he deserves over the last 2 seasons, I feel. I've always liked him. Cardiac Kemba Walker. Does he stay in Charlotte?
I think the answer to that is yes, and I don't want to see it because I think Michael Jordan is the worst team builder of all time. But he just seems like a loyal guy. He's going to get the most money by far because that's the team he's with, so they can supermax him. And that's like I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he went to a contender because I think he deserves it. He deserves to play for a contender, no matter who that is. I mean, if the Celtics, like there's been rumors of the Celtics going after him. If they lose Kyrie, that's a possibility. But just something inside me tells me that he's going to be loyal and he's going to put he shouldn't, but he's going to put more trust in Michael Jordan to finally bring in pieces around him.
Speaking of Michael Jordan, I'm so happy I got to make this point. Michael Jordan, in my opinion, is the only GOAT/WOAT in any sport. He is the greatest player in NBA history of all time, and he is the absolute worst GM.
It's unbelievable how bad
time.
of a GM he is.
It is incredible. It reminds me like a lot of like if we're going to football, like Elway. Elway is one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play, but he is god awful with building his team. I mean,
he can't find a quarterback to save his life.
Dude, how can you be a great quarterback and not find a quarterback? I don't understand. But we're talking basketball. And Kemba, my dream scenario is Kemba going to Philly because he would just be the absolute perfect point guard to just lead this team to the chip, honestly. I think if we got Kemba Walker, there's no team in the East that stops us. But Kemba, I think the biggest thing, he's not going to leave. I think he's going to sign a max deal in Charlotte. Kemba Walker to the NBA, or to the Charlotte Hornets, is what Larry Fitzgerald was to the Arizona Cardinals. Both incredible players whose only fault is that they're too loyal. All right, and the next free agent on the list, we have Klay Thompson. Jason, is Klay Thompson going to stay a Warrior for life?
He should. And I have a gut feeling he will. I don't want him to. I would love to see him on the Lakers. I think there isn't a better fit in the NBA next to LeBron than Klay Thompson. But I think if the Warriors are smart, and I think they will, they'll offer him the max along with KD. Whether or not they go into the luxury tax, they've probably been doing that for the last 5 years, and they've won chips with it.
Absolutely.
And I think Klay wants to be there. He's perfect. Him and Steph are I think the best backcourt of all time. They're perfect together.
2 peas in a pod.
It's unbelievable.
They could not fit each other's play style better. They couldn't.
And Klay has come out and said he wants to remain in Golden State. I think money is important to him, and I can't see the Warriors not offering him the max. I know there was rumors of him going to the Lakers, the Clippers. I mean, the Sixers would be a great team for him. I mean, that'd be perfect if they lost Butler. But I think as long as the Warriors offer him the max, there is no shot that he's just leaving Golden State.
I completely agree with you. I mean, Klay Thompson right now, he's a top 5 shooting guard. He's a top 5 shooter ever, in my opinion. I think he's top 5 shooter ever. He's an incredible talent. He's playing with the best shooter ever. There's no better fit than to stay in Golden State. And the fact that a report came about him yesterday that he would be willing to visit the Clippers, that's incredible to me, but in a bad way. I think just any report like that's gonna affect your team chemistry, especially if you decide to stay. And I think Klay could not be in a better situation. I mean, you're playing with the second best player in the NBA, and you're playing with the greatest shooter, possibly arguably the greatest point guard of all time right now, which is just incredible.
Him and Magic are, in my opinion, it's debatable.
Oh my God.
I know we're going to get a lot of hate for saying he's up there with Magic, but I think he's better than Isaiah Thomas. I think he's right behind Magic if I had to.
And I think he's above Stockton. I think he's above Kidd. I mean, above Oscar.
His shooting is what changed the NBA. It's a 3-point league now.
It is absolutely a 3-point league. And it's all because of Steph.
But the thing with Klay to the Clippers is I don't think there's any. There might be some interest there, but I think that's more of his agent trying to say, look, telling the Warriors, we're taking this seriously. If you don't offer us the max the first day I hit free agency, we'll meet with other teams. And I think that'll scare the Warriors into offering him the max right away.
I just hope that it doesn't affect their team chemistry. Mm-hmm. All right. But again, now we're going to be talking about Jimmy Buckets, Jimmy Butler.
Jimmy. There is no better fit than where he is right now. The city loves him like no other. We love Embiid, we love Simmons, but there's just something about Jimmy, his attitude. He's been labeled a killer, like a coach killer, like a team killer. His chemistry, there's
locker
issues,
room cancer,
all that. But it's just his attitude is he wants to win. He's not afraid to tell you he wants to. He's not afraid to tell you what you need to do wrong. Embiid, like that works perfectly with Embiid. Someone needs to motivate him to lose some weight.
Absolutely.
He needs to stay in Philadelphia. Whether or not they sign Tobias with him, I just think Butler's the perfect piece to be in Philly. I think other options would be the Lakers. Obviously, the Houston Rockets are becoming a big deal with the sign and trade. I think there's no shot. I get he's from Houston. He might have interest going there, but I think there's no shot the Sixers would even want to make that trade. I don't see why Houston wants to make that trade, giving up Capella, their only center. The Lakers could be an option, but same with Kyrie. If he goes there, he's going to get the max, and the Lakers are going to be depleted. I don't think he wants to be the third option behind LeBron and AD, where he's going to get none of the attention. He'll probably never have the ball in his hands because LeBron is very ball-centric, ball-dominant. And I just think and I think he knows. We lost to Kawhi on a Game 7 buzzer beater. He knows if we run it back, if Simmons gets a jump shot, if Embiid comes back healthy, we should be a favorite to win the NBA title.
I absolutely agree, but I do think that if somehow the Houston Rockets can have a trade deal without Capella and have either 3 more players to take his place who are just kind of average on the bench,
and PJ Tucker,
exactly, like a guy like or guys like that, draft pick. I think Houston is the perfect fit for him, and here's why. Number one, I don't think Butler is a superstar. I think he's a star in this league. I don't think he is like a top 10 talent, you know what I mean? But you have James Harden, who is an absolute superstar, a transcendent talent. And Chris Paul is not a superstar anymore. He might not even be a star, really, at this point in his career. Not to say that he's still CP3, he's going to make plays, but he's not the Chris Paul we knew in LA, you know what I mean? So they need a third piece, and I think Houston does make a lot of sense. I love the LA situation, though, or a scenario possibly, with LeBron being able to feed him the ball. I think Jimmy Butler would play a bigger role than a lot of people think. I think Jimmy Butler would be a great guy on that wing, and LeBron would play a true point. But, again, I think the perfect scenario is for him to stay right where he is. I think the city loves him. I think his teammates, for the most part, there's a great chemistry there. I think he motivates Joel Embiid, and I think he provides the leadership role that Ben Simmons does not. And I think that that's why he should stay in Philly.
Now, what's interesting about that is if he goes to the Sixers and say there's no chance he's resigning, he wants to go to the Lakers or the Rockets, I think then the Sixers would have to sign and trade him. I wouldn't be opposed to maybe a sign and trade with the Rockets and where we get, Austin Rivers, Eric Gordon, PJ Tucker in return. I'd be sad to see that because I think he knows heart of heart. I think he knows the best place from his Philly. Like I said, the West is just stacked in my opinion. I think the East we have to deal with the Raptors if Kawhi stays and the Bucks. I don't think the Celtics are a threat anymore. I think winning is his number one priority from what he's shown throughout his time in the league. So I think the Sixers are the best fit for him.
DeMarcus Boogie Cousins. In my opinion, this dude was the best center in basketball for 6 straight seasons. He was undeniably, he was a monster. He could stretch the court. He was just incredible. This man is the only center, is one of 3 centers in NBA history to drop 60 points in a game. It's undisputably great. But he's dropped off tremendously.
Injuries have played a big part.
Injuries have played a huge part in it, and I feel like his motivation is lacking. But he signed that 1-year deal with the Golden State Warriors. Where does he go from here?
I'm going to give you 2 options, and I think they're both going to be in the East. I think since the Celtics lost Al Horford, and if the Celtics still want to be contenders, like let's say they sign Kemba and they still have some money, if they're really trying to win for this year, I could see him taking that Al Horford role. I know he's more ball dominant than Al Horford. He doesn't shoot it as well. And I think, unfortunately, he played his way out of the playoffs, like in the Golden State in the finals. I don't think he played that well, but I do think he still has value. I don't think he's a max player. I could see him taking a 1 to 2 year contract for maybe more than he's made. I think he made $8 million this year. But I think the Celtics would be a great team for him if he's trying to win. And I also think the Wizards, because him and John Wall, they have that chemistry from Kentucky. They're best friends. I know the Wizards, they still have Dwight Howard. I don't know if he's a free agent. I think they need to just forget about Dwight Howard. I don't think he's useful in this league anymore.
I don't think the Wizards are even a team that even matters anymore.
No, absolutely, and I get that. And I think if the Wizards, if that's the route they're going, if they're just trying to rebuild, if they're just trying to take it easy, I don't see that. But I do see them. I think they have a lot of cap. I mean, not a lot of cap. I think they have enough cap to pay him what he wants. And I think that him and John Wall, if Wall comes back from injury, I think there's chemistry there. And I think those 2 teams, I can also see him going to like the Mavericks or an up and coming team. I can't see him going to a team that's not going to make the playoffs. and I think he wants to be in the Eastern Conference. I think those are the two best fits for him.
I think the best fit for him probably would be the Boston Celtics. I don't think he stays in Golden State. I think the Golden State Warriors, when he was on the court, played worse. They played slow. They didn't move around.
I don't think he didn't fit their system.
Bro, he didn't fit the system at all. And, maybe a DeMarcus 5 years ago fits that system perfectly. But right now, he does not move well off the ball. He needs the ball in his hands. But I'm sorry, but there's a guy named Steph Curry who will always have the ball in his hands and always should. There's no reason for anybody else to have the ball in their hands unless you're Kevin Durant. But DeMarcus Cousins, he just didn't fit that system that well. But I do think that the Boston fit would be perfect. I think he's still able to stretch the floor. I still think he's able to put up close to 20 points a game, give you 10 rebounds. I think he's a 20 and 10 guy. I think he can shoot in the 50% field goal percentage range. He's still a guy who I think defenses should be scared of, but he's not worth the max anymore. I think
no. If a team pays for the max, then they're
overpaying.
They're going to regret that very soon.
That's ridiculous. Absolutely.
And I like DeMarcus. I don't think he's a great defender. A third team I'll throw out is I think if Kemba also stays with the Hornets, I think there's a possibility he might want to go to the Hornets if the Hornets are able to shed some
if they have enough cap, yeah.
Exactly. So I think one of those three teams.
I think Boston just makes the most sense for him, especially if he still wants to be in a contending role.
Exactly. Yeah.
Boston, as of right now, they're probably the fourth team in the East, and they've just been going down and down and down, especially if they lose Kyrie. I'm not sure if Boston has enough cap to acquire both Kemba and Cousins, but that's also a very possible situation. That could make them a contender very easily.
Oh, yeah, they can bounce back. I mean, I'm not saying he's better than Al Horford. I think offensively he might be, but at the same time, with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, I think that he would fit fine there.
I love Tatum.
I'm a fan of him too. As much hate as he gets, I mean, it sucks we took Fultz, but hey, looking back on it, Tatum's I think he's gonna be a great player.
Tobias Harris, Toby, the man. How do you feel about him?
Bobby. Well, the thing is, I think it comes down to if Butler stays, I unfortunately think there's a less of a chance that we get him. So the two scenarios I'll do is if Butler signs first, I think most likely he goes to the Nets with Kyrie, and I think Kyrie is definitely going to go there. So I think him and Kyrie would be a great match. I could see a sign and trade where between D'Angelo and Russell, because I think if Kyrie goes, they would trade Russell. I could see a sign and trade for Tobias Harris for D'Angelo Russell straight up.
He is disgusting. D'Angelo Russell is disgusting.
I think if Jimmy Butler doesn't sign here, I think the Sixers will give him the max. I think no matter what. I think if Jimmy Butler does not sign here, no matter what, Tobias Harris will be a Sixer. My gut feeling is that the Sixers sign both, and I think they should. I think it'd be hard to see them throw the max at both. I think that's what it's going to take because we won't have a lot of cap anywhere else. JJ Redick might have to leave, but at the same time, I love what I saw from them last year in the playoffs. They stepped up. They took the eventual champions to a Game 7, and I think Tobias Harris fits perfectly alongside Ben Simmons. He can stretch the floor. He's not a great defender, but he's a good enough defender to guard power forwards. He can put the ball on the floor, and I really, really hope he stays with the Sixers. I think that's the best fit for him, but I can't see him going to the Nets.
I can absolutely see him going to the Brooklyn Nets, but 100% I believe that what will happen realistically is that he will stay as a Philadelphia 76er. I mean, I think the Sixers just really see way too much good in him. He's only 27 years old. I think he could just be entering his prime, so this is really the best to come. He scored 20 points, 8 boards, and 3 assists on 40% shooting from behind the arc. That is really impressive at this age, and if he's only just entering his prime and he's only going to get better, I don't think there's any reason for the Sixers to even think about giving him up.
Absolutely, and I know you said if you had to keep one of them, you would choose Tobias. Personally, I would choose Jimmy. I know we would both love to see them both, but I think Tobias' skill set fits perfectly with the Sixers. Like you said, he didn't make the All-Star team, but he's on the verge of it. He's an All-Star. He's a potential All-Star, perennial All-Star. So I think he'd be perfect with the Sixers.
So we have Kristaps Porzingis, who I believe has already made a verbal commitment to the Dallas Mavericks, but if he does not stay, where is he going?
It's like you said, it'd be so hard for him not to stay with the Mavericks. They just signed. I think him and Doncic are going to be awesome. If they sign a couple more players, that's going to be unbelievable. He's someone where he's at such a young age. I think he'd prioritize money over winning. I mean, not necessarily like that, but I think money would be very important to him. If the Mavericks, for some reason, if it doesn't work out, I can see him going to like a young up-and-coming team like the Sacramento Kings, maybe the Memphis Grizzlies. Like maybe him and Jaren Jackson would be a great fit together. But there's no way. I don't see him signing with the Mavericks.
Yeah, it's gonna be a really boring answer for me, but I don't think there's any reason for Kristaps to leave.
It's the right answer.
I mean, it you know what I mean? Like he's gonna stay in Dallas. I think Dallas is still in a pretty rough situation. But the fact that they have Luka on their team, reigning Rookie of the Year, just an absolute stud in Luka Doncic, and I think that
unbelievable,
bro, and their play styles I think are gonna fit so well together, and I think there's no question that he stays a Dallas Maverick.
I agree with that.
All right, this is my favorite player in this free agency class, D'Angelo Russell, just 23 years old. What's happening?
I think the possibility of a Tobias Harris, D'Angelo Russell sign and trade, I think that's actually a real possibility. I think if Kyrie goes, there's 0% chance they keep him. I've heard that he has interest in going back to the Lakers, but my theory stays the same with the Lakers. I think they just need to fill out the roster with decent players. I don't think they should, and I know D'Angelo's going to want maybe not a max, but close to it.
Yeah.
I just can't
Big
see.
money.
I don't see it on the Lakers. I think a team that'd be very interesting would be the Pacers. Pairing him next to Victor Oladipo, and I heard that the Pacers have interest in it. I know they're after Mike Conley. Ultimately, he went to the Jazz, but I think that would be perfect just because of their age. Like, their age fits perfectly. The Pacers they're in a win now mode, but their players are young. Miles Turner's young. Victor Oladipo's young. I think since I do think Kyrie will definitely go to the Nets, I would predict, if I had to put money on it, I think a sign and trade with the Sixers is a realistic possibility. If not, I could see them trade him to the Pacers. We just talked about the Mavericks would be a possibility, pairing him next to Luka Doncic, and I think those two teams would be the best. Maybe Phoenix, because Phoenix still needs a point guard. So,
bro,
and the Suns have a lot of young assets to trade. They could trade like Mikal Bridges. I know they just brought in Sarge, but they have a lot of assets. If they want to pair him next to Devin Booker, I think that'd be great. And they just went on vacation together. Their chemistry is great. So actually, I think Phoenix is a real possibility too.
Not to deny that the Phoenix Suns aren't a possibility. I don't know what Phoenix is doing, and I think if even Phoenix...
I don't think they know what they're doing.
I think if Phoenix even had a chance to get D'Angelo Russell, they wouldn't even know what to do, and I don't even think they'd sign him. It would just be like handing the Suns owner $1 million, and he would just be like, all right, what am I going to do with this? So, it just doesn't make any sense for the Suns to sign him because they would probably mistreat him. I think the most realistic possibility, actually, is since Magic Johnson is gone, they never had a great rapport, him and D'Angelo. I think D'Angelo goes to the Los Angeles Lakers. I mean, oh my God. Him and LeBron and AD and that would be, dude, D'Angelo Russell,
it's a good fit.
He's on another level. I just watched an Instagram video of him that was 1 minute, 30 seconds long, and he did not miss a single three-point shot. Dude, his form looks incredible. He looks good. He looks healthy. I think the Lakers make the most sense, especially since it is very highly likely that Kyrie Irving will go to Brooklyn, and there's no shot that D'Angelo stays.
But if Kyrie does go to the Lakers, that could be a possibility, then D'Angelo would stay put, right? They build around him.
Oh, absolutely.
I agree with that.
I think that it makes the most sense for Brooklyn if they aren't able to land Kyrie to keep D'Angelo. I honestly would say throw the max at him. If I'm Brooklyn and Kyrie is not an option, throw the max at D'Angelo, lock him in for the next 5 seasons because from 23 to 28, who knows what greatness he's able to put out.
That is something we absolutely agree on. I think if Kyrie does not go there, D'Angelo is their first and only priority.
1,000%. What about Chris Middleton? Super talented guard for the Milwaukee Bucks. Very underrated.
First All-Star appearance this year.
First All-Star appearance. Very well and much deserved. What do you think he does?
So the Bucks are in a very cap-tight situation. They have to sign, if they want to bring back Brook Lopez, Brogdon's a restricted free agent, and Middleton, I've been hearing rumors that they're most likely they can keep 2 out of the 3, and I think Middleton should be number 1 on the priority. I can't see him leaving the Bucks. I think he wants to stay there. He's come out and said, his agent's come out and said he's looking for the max. I think the Bucks will ultimately give him the max. I think pairing him with Giannis, having that 3-point threat, because that's the one thing Giannis doesn't have, right? A 3-point shot. Keeping him there, he just made the All-Star team for the first time. I think 90% chance he stays with the Bucks. If they choose Brogdon and Brook Lopez and can't sign him, I think he goes with a contender. I'm looking at teams he could possibly go to. I mean, if the Raptors lose Kawhi, he can go there. If the Sixers don't get Butler, I could see him going to the Sixers. But overall, I think he stays in the East. I think he goes to a contender if he doesn't stay with the Bucks. But I think there's a really good chance he's still in the Bucks next year.
I think Chris Middleton realistically knows that he's not worth the max. Not to say that he's not that caliber of a player, but he knows realistically that if he's given the max, he should absolutely jump on it. But I don't think
absolutely.
I don't think he will be. And I think he's going to be given a very close to max, maybe a 3-year, a 3-year, $80 million deal, something close to those numbers. And I think the perfect team to get him would be the Los Angeles Lakers. I think if you're able to shed enough cap to be able to sign Kyrie, and then you still have 24 mil left over, Chris Middleton would be the absolute perfect fit with them to give them another great shooting presence on that team, because then that's a big pairing with Kyrie. Then you have Chris Middleton, LeBron, AD,
Oh,
Kuzma.
no, there's no way they can sign both of them. That's going to be hard. They would both have to sacrifice a lot of money.
I think that AD is willing to restructure his deal and make less money, and I think that they're going to be able to shed some cap off of the guys who really don't play. And I think don't be shocked if Chris Middleton is the Los Angeles Laker next season, along with Kyrie Irving.
You know what team intrigues me though? If the Thunder decide to shed Steven Adams' contract, I think he would fit perfectly in between.
He would.
In between Russ and PG, but
that is
I don't
a
see
dream.
it happening.
Sadly, dude, that's a dream scenario because I don't think Oklahoma City would even.
I mean, yeah, they would have to get rid of Adams. They'd have to get rid of a lot of players. Probably Jeremy Grant in there.
Yeah.
Dennis Schroeder would have to leave.
Jeremy Grant has been a pretty solid player.
Oh, he's improved a lot this year.
So definitely.
I'm sad the Sixers. I think he would have been the perfect backup for the Sixers this year. Said James Ennis.
All right, man. I think we've talked about all the free agents. You know what? Actually, no. Julius Randle is somebody who I've always really liked. I liked him in LA.
So do I.
I thought it made zero sense for him to go. But in New Orleans, I mean, he's been balling out, averaging 21 points, almost 9 boards, and as a big man, 3 assists a game. I mean, he's 24 years old. So much potential. I mean, does Julius Randle stay at Pelican?
He doesn't, and it's because he can't play center. I know there's been projected lineups of Zion at the 4. Obviously, Brandon Ingram would be at the 3, and Julius at the 5. I can't see that. I don't think he's big enough to guard centers. I think he's a true power forward. And one team I would love to see him go to is the Atlanta Hawks. I think John Collins is a center, and they just drafted Cam Reddish. They have Trae Young. They just drafted DeAndre Hunter, who I think plays the 2. I think
that's a really interesting.
If he wants to go to an up-and-coming team, a team that can afford to pay him, because the Hawks have a ton of salary cap, I think the Hawks would be a great fit for him. I think he's young enough where he's going to go after his money, and the Hawks are. I think the Hawks, regardless, I think the Hawks make the playoffs next year, like as an 8th or 7th seed. I think adding him would maybe put them at a 5th or 6th seed, and I think the Hawks would be a scary team.
I absolutely love what you just said about the Hawks. I hadn't even considered that. I mean, I was really thinking just stay with the Pelicans. I mean, he seems like a kind of like a lifer kind of guy. Like he's like, oh, now I'm a Pelican now, and I'll be a Pelican forever. You know, I like their lineup though. I love Drew Holiday. I love Zion. We will definitely delve into Zion in another episode because I think he's just an entire topic within himself. But for real. But I agree. I don't think he's big enough to play center. But honestly, dude, I think it just makes the most sense for him to stay as a Pelican because I like the young core that they have. Drew actually is getting up there in age. I mean, he was drafted to the Sixers like, what was that, Russ Westbrook's class?
Yeah, it was a while ago.
9 seasons ago, 10 seasons ago?
At UCLA.
So, wait, Drew?
No, Russ.
I was about to say, I was like, wait,
Russ,
there's no way.
Russ at UCLA.
I was like, that college team must have been disgusting.
No, yeah, you said Russ. Yeah. Nah.
But, no, I think it makes the most sense to stay with the Pelicans. But that Hawks situation, I mean, they definitely have the cap for it. Trae Young, I think he's a special player. I think that Luka was definitely the better rookie this season. But I think it's definitely a 1-2.
Oh, wait, what am I talking about? Yeah, he did go to UCLA. It wasn't the same class, though. I knew I was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what? You caught me, and I said Russ because I was thinking, oh, am I wrong about this? No, he did go to. But it was 2 draft classes later. Yeah. I think so.
Okay.
I think he was drafted 2010 or 11.
So this is his 8th season then. So he's getting up there in age.
Yeah.
So he's definitely.
I think he's right in his prime right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe like this season, then next season, then maybe after that, getting out of it. But
Pelicans gonna be good.
They are gonna be.
Drew, Brandon Ingram.
I like Ingram. I like Ingram a lot. He just needs to hit the gym a little bit.
Absolutely.
But nah, man. The Hawks definitely have the cap for Julius Randle for sure. I don't think he'll expect the max. Even if he does expect it, I think the Hawks have enough cap.
They do. I don't think they would pay it, but they do have enough. And the thing with the Pelicans, I can see him staying on the Pelicans, but they did just draft Jackson Hayes, and he is very raw with the. I mean, I think they should have taken Reddish there to pair him with Zion because they were disgusting in college. But they did just draft Jackson Hayes out of Texas, I believe. So if he's ready to come in and play right away, if they believe that, then I definitely think Randle doesn't stay. But if he wants to win, if he believes that he can play a vital role as maybe a backup power forward to Zion, I can absolutely see him staying.
Absolutely. Completely agree, man. What a great episode. NBA Free Agency 2019. Definitely a huge topic. Definitely so many different storylines going on, man.
It's going to be crazy.
It's going to be crazy, and I cannot wait for it to begin. Thank you guys so much for checking out the episode. As always, soundcloud.com/Lawless Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Casey Lawless.
I'm Jason Shulman. Always a pleasure to be on.
Yes, sir. All right. You guys have a good one. Take care. Goodbye.